Students demand colleges stop funding police body cameras. You think it would be just the opposite. A university president freaks out over what his feelings told him was a racist noose. And in our top story of the week, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signs a bill preventing men from competing in women's sports. Plus, in our woke tweet of the week, we've got a couple tweets coming for you from some professors. We'll get into that. I'm Addison Smith, and this is the Campus Countdown. Our number 3 story of the week is a bit confusing, so you'll have to bear with me. You know, campus leftists have been expressing increased hatred for police heavily over the past year, with specific emphasis on their belief that there's rampant police brutality. So given that premise, you would think that one thing we can all agree on is that police should wear body cameras. That way, if an officer truly is guilty of misconduct, his cameras should provide that evidence. If we want justice, we should want evidence to bring to the table so that justice can prevail. But students at Bates College apparently disagree. They're actually demanding the school halt body camera funding for campus safety officers. Yes, this is a thing that's actually happening. Reading now from Campus Reform, over 500 students at Bates College have signed a petition that demands a halt in funding towards the purchasing of body cameras for the campus safety department. The petition states that cameras have little effect on the violent conduct of police. According to the Bates student, the petition is in response to Bates College administration's interest in spending $100,000 on body cameras for campus safety officers. Bates Leftist Coalition and Bates Restorative and Transformative Justice Coalition created the petition after a March 5th incident on campus when 2 campus safety officers allegedly tackled a student. The groups state in the document that the body cameras do not change the behavior and structure of the campus safety department. I see. In addition, the petition also demands that the college takes away batons and handcuffs from the department. Quote, continuing to equip campus safety officers with weapons and methods of restraint conveys the idea that they have a right and duty to assault students. What? This is inherently violent and oppressive, and it is better for the safety of all students to reside on a campus without weapons and restraints used on students, the petition states. So the incident, according to the newspaper The Bates Student, goes like this. A witness to the altercation stated that there were around 8 to 10 students in the second floor common room of Rand Hall. He claimed Dennis Skinner, the campus safety officer, entered the room and demanded to see all of the students' IDs, prompting them to separate and walk away to avoid disciplinary actions. Many of them did not live in Rand Hall, and alcohol was present. Skinner then followed the student into the stairwell closest to 280 College Street, where the witness could no longer see what occurred. Despite not being visible, the witness, quote, heard some loud crashing noises and yelling from down the stairwell. The restrained student said he immediately began to panic after being grabbed by the safety officer and asked, quote, why are you grabbing me? You aren't allowed to do that. The student said the situation felt, quote, scary and uncomfortable. He added that he was able to break from the grip of the safety officer and bust open the door to the stairway. The officer chased after him, and once alone in the stairwell, he claims the officer leapt onto him while, quote, calling for backup security and wrestling him. Okay, so wait a minute. So the student ran from the officer. He was being detained, and he tried to run away. Not his best idea, I take it, but we'll go on. The restrained student says he struggled helplessly while other students watched nearby. The students were then informed that the officers from the Lewiston Police Department, LPD, were on their way. Safety officers escorted the handcuffed student outside and witnesses followed. One LPD officer spoke to Skinner away from the rest of the group, but it is not currently known what the conversation was about. A representative for the LPD said the officers were just assisting Bates security and refused to comment further, directing the student staff to speak with campus safety for further information. Afterwards, the restrained student was released from handcuffs and allowed to leave. Quote, no explanation was given as to why police were called despite repeated questioning of the guards as to why, the witness concluded. Okay, so long story short, campus safety officers were called for an unknown reason. They attempted to detain a student. He resisted. The police came, and the student was eventually sent on his way. How does any of this translate to the idea we should have less evidence of what took place? I mean, here they are complaining that no explanation was given and so on. So why would you want to make it even more obscure? Why would you want to make it less detailed? Well, here's a thought. The left hates police regardless. If they can get rid of evidence, that means they can get rid of potential evidence that would vindicate the officer or find him innocent. So less evidence to justify the officer's actions, combined with widespread demands for justice and accountability, gives them more freedom to crank up the heat to convict police. Doesn't sound like an unreasonable hypothesis, but nonetheless, body cameras should be completely agreeable on both sides, but the side that hates police doesn't want them. I wonder why that is. Our number 2 story of the week should give you a good laugh. I know it did me. Central Connecticut State University president called for the removal of construction equipment that some deemed a racist symbol. A flag displayed from a construction site over Memorial Day weekend has ignited controversy at Central Connecticut State University after members of the community said that the flag appeared to be displayed from a noose. The flag was flown on a metal cable hanging from a crane at an on-campus construction site. The cable, which had a loop at the end, closely resembles standard loop steel cables that are commonly used in construction. Home Depot sells several varieties. When social media users took note of the cable, Central Connecticut State University responded, "As soon as we saw the photo, we called the construction company and ordered the cable be brought down immediately." The university also posted of the offending object, the supposedly offending object. "It is a steel loop that is part of a crane's cable. It is not a noose." The crane had multiple loop cables hanging from it, but the school has moved to address only the one bearing the American flag. According to local news outlet Fox 61, Central Connecticut State University President Zolma Toro tried to mitigate concerns by telling students, quote, "We have been in contact with the construction company and demanded that the cable be lowered tonight. We have a team on site monitoring the situation." However, Fox 61 found on Sunday morning that the flag and cable were still hanging from the crane. Good. A few things here. One, is this even a noose? Loop cables are completely different, and they're totally different from a noose. A noose is not tightens with pressure. A loop cable is fixed. And as is pointed out in the article, it is a cable on a construction site. It's not even a noose. Home Depot sells them. Look at the cable. Pull up the picture. Does that look like a noose to you? It's clearly a metal cable loop, just like the ones construction workers use. It's not a noose at all. And the fact that the university denied that it was a noose, explicitly denied it, and still demanded that it be taken down is pretty sad, pretty spineless. Another example of woke virtue signaling, even after saying there's nothing problematic. See, the right thing to do in this situation would have been to say, "No, it's not a noose. It's a metal construction cable. Sorry you feel that way, but that's your problem." And let that be the end of it. In our top story of the week, this one is pretty great. Governor Ron DeSantis is banning men from competing in women's sports. Reading now, it says, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill on June 1st that bans biological men, so just men, and boys from competing in women's and girls' sports. The governor believes that the legislation will ensure fairness for female athletes. The signed bill, SB 1028, applies to public high school and public universities in the state. The new law defines an athlete's gender as the sex listed on their birth certificate. Furthermore, students can now sue educational institutions that violate this law. DeSantis spoke at a town hall for Republican governors on Fox News, hosted by Laura Ingraham. During the event, he stated, quote, "I have a 4-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old daughter. They're both very athletic. We want to have opportunities for our girls. They deserve an even playing field, and that's what we're doing." Awesome. This is awesome stuff here from DeSantis. We do need to protect women's sports. Allowing men to come in and compete against girls when men, generally speaking, have biologically radically different height, weight, and strength advantages is demeaning to women. It undermines women's sports. It deprives them of reaping the rewards of their hard work. And naturally, the campus left, the trust the science left, is very angry about this. Because in their minds, he's discriminating against what they say are actual women. But they never seem to define what a woman is. This is a common pattern here. The best definition that they give is that a woman is someone who identifies as a woman. But that's like me saying a flower is that which is a flower. It's a circular argument. The terms woman and man mean something. They're rooted in something objective, and that objectivity is a biological reality. Women, generally speaking, are capable of reproducing human life, and they have the necessary biological components to do so. Women have XX chromosomes, men have XY chromosomes. Men are not women, women are not men. They never have been and never will be. No surgery, no hormone treatment, no amount of verbal persuasion will change that most basic fact about human nature. There are men's sports and there are women's sports, and they belong as distinct. If you're a man, play in men's sports. And if you're a woman, you play in women's sports. Nothing about that should be controversial, but sadly, it is. Let's get to our woke tweets of the week. Our woke tweets of the week come from a few different professors this time around. We've got more than one for you. Let's just look through a few of these and keep in mind that these are the people educating our children. Northwestern University professor Justin Martin tweeted on 9/11 back in 2019, "Happy 9/11. The U.S. is complicit in far more terror than it has ever suffered." Here's another one from Professor Preston Sparks of Auburn University. Last year, he sent out a now-deleted tweet, "F every cop, every single one." Here's another from former NC State Vice Chancellor who called Republicans, quote, "neo-Nazis, KKK members, and alt-right crazies." We'll do one more. Here's a Cali State University at Fresno professor, Dr. Lars Maeschak, hopefully I'm saying that right, who said, quote, "Justice equals the execution of 2 Republicans for each deported immigrant." They also said, quote, "Trump's Republicanism stands in a continuity with fascism," from which he reasoned that in order to save democracy, Trump must hang. Not really much to say here. These tweets speak for themselves. Like I said, the most important thing to keep in mind here is that these are the people that we're shipping our kids off to for 8-9 months out of the year, entrusting them with providing a wholesome, solid education. And judging by these tweets here, it seems like that might be a bit in vain. I know I wouldn't want to send my kid to a school where professors are making death threats to conservatives and calling them Nazis. No way. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. And if you're not already, make sure you're following us at Campus Reform on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.